and present. I'm glad I remembered to present because Oconee wouldn't say anything. He'd just sit there the whole time. He wouldn't say anything. So I'm glad I remembered. All right, first question we got is 1.3. This is 1.3, number 3. Okay, so the 7 right here, that means it's like number 7 in the book. So if you was to pull up your book right now and go to 1.3 homework in your book and look at number 7, this question would be like that question. Down here, you see the number 3. That means this is like everybody's homework question on line number 3. So if you go to number 3 on your homework tonight on 1.3, it's going to look like this question. It's not going to be the same, but it's going to look like it. Not one of my favorite questions, because what they do is they give you an example with 2 or 2 or 3 classes, and they tell you to list, and then they put one of these on your homework with 3 classes. They probably have 7 to choose from. So sometimes they make them a little bit, and what this is called a sample set or a sample space. It's when you do all of the possibilities. So what I want everybody to do, you don't have to write down the EPR. Just write down 651, 612, 653, 671, 699. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a sample space using 3 of those class courses. So you don't have to write the EPR, just write 651, 612, 653, 671, and 699. Now how you do it, it doesn't matter, but you're going to pick 3s. So I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to write down those numbers. $651, $612, $653, $671, and $699. Now you use whatever method you want to. The method I use, and you do this with boy, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, boy, 3 kids, what's the probability of boy, 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 and girl, 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 and same thing. So I'm just going to take, it says 3 course selections. So I'm just going to take 651, 612, and I'm going to keep those 2 together. And I'm going to write 653 with those 2, 671 with those 2, 699 with those 2. So 651, 612, 651, 612, 651, 612. And that gives you 653, 671, and 699. Everybody see what I just did? I grouped these 2 together, and then I wrote these 3 with them. So take your handy dandy highlighter. These 3 are the same. So now I'm going to take and erase this, and now I'm going to extend it with what? Not 612, but what? 653. So 651, 653, 651, 653, 651, 653, oops. And now what I write? 612, 671, 699. 612, 671, 699. Now I'm going to erase that right there. And instead of 653, what am I going to go to next? 6 what? Oh, y'all catching on. 651, 671, 651, 671, 651, 671. 612, 653, and 699. Now I'm going to erase that line and mix it with 699. So 651, 699, 651, 699, 651, 699. And now I'm going to write 612, 653, 671. 612, 653, and 671. And that is what we call your sample space, or your sample set, whatever you want to call it. Now, it says select many 3 courses, so that one goes out. Got any other 2 courses? All right, so that one don't work because you're repeating a course. Why would you take the same course over? Think about this a minute. Why would you take 120 at 8 o'clock and then take 120 at 12 o'clock? What sense does that make? Doesn't. It's called critical thinking.
F is one.
F. Take out, okay, F. Where's F? Yep. Any others that are repeating? Okay, now you just need to check to see which ones match yours. I'm not going to go through all that. But do you see anything that's repeating? Because the other ones should work unless they got courses that you don't have. Like a 652 or a 687 or something like that. They all have the same courses.
There's one, I think I saw that.
Where?
Trying to find it.
651, 653, 651, 653, 699. 651, 671, 651, 671.
Maybe.
671 right there. 651.
Oh, I know which one it was.
Oh, they just flipped it. Wait a minute.
It was 690 or whatever, but.
Here's, hold on a second. 651, 671, 699. All right, what were you saying, Mr. Smith?
It was F that didn't have the right one. But
oh, okay. All right, 653, 699. Where's my 653, 699? I don't see 653, 699. There it is. 653, 699. Oh, that's repeating, isn't it? I asked y'all. Y'all said y'all want no more. Y'all losers. 651, 612. 651, 612. Y'all see what I'm doing? I'm going through, I'm taking out what doesn't make sense, and I'm putting mine in. 612, 653. 612, 653. Here's 612, 653. There's 612, 653. It's one of these, isn't it? 671 right here. $653, $671, $653, $671, $699. That's repeating, isn't it? Haven't we already did that one? $653, $671. That's a $671. Yeah, I think we've $653. That one looks like one we've already done. Y'all settle down. Don't say nothing. Oh, well. 651, 612, 653. 651, 612. 651, 612. Right here. 651, 612, 653. I think we've repeated that one, but I'm not sure. 651, 612, 671. 612, 653. 612, 653. Yep, that's one. 612, 653. What they're doing is they're doing a different 612, 653, and what? 699? There's probably one in here like that. 612, Y'all can help. Y'all know that, don't you? 612, 650, except for Oconee. They're not going to say anything. 612, 653, 699. Anybody see one of those?
Middle, the bottom row, middle down there. It's going horizontally, though, instead of vertical. Middle.
Well, it's a combination. You can have that one. I'm going to go ahead and mark it. 612, 671, 699. 612, 671. Right here. No, that's in 699. That's another one. I may not have listed them all, but they're not repeating, and there are a combination. So I must have left some out. 651, 653, and 671. 651, 653, and 671. That's 1, 2. So it looks like you've taken out all of the ones that it can't be, and you've done the ones that it can be. Is this a test question? No, I don't put this on the test because it's too, what is it, ambiguous? It is. And the ones I stick with is boy, boy, girl, boy, 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 and you'll see those in your homework. Those are the ones I put on the test because boy, boy, boy is a whole lot easier to do than these. And this just takes too long. So let's go through and click on what? C, E, I, M, D. I think that one's good too. H, J, L, N. And we feel good about ourselves. So we don't have to put too much makeup on and look like a Oompa Loompa. You know, orange face, white neck. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or look like one of them ghost women that belts. Got on white face and red lips. Ugh. All right. There is a blank and blank chance. So count up how many the courses will be selected. Okay, this one. That's this one right here. 651. Somebody count how many times you see 651, 612, and 671. It doesn't look like order matters because you can take them at different times, I would assume. I don't see anything that says order matters. So somebody tell me out of those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How many do you see 651, 612, and 671? 1. No sunglasses inside for us. All right. So that's a good homework question, but make sure you know how to do boy, boy, girl with 2 kids or 3 kids. Make sure you know how to do that because that's the test question I'll give you. And you should be able to do that, okay? If a couple decides to have 2 children, what is the possibility of it being boy? Boy, 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 girl, girl, boy, girl, girl. Get it? What about 3? Well, there's one with all girls, girl, girl, girl. And then there's one with all boys, boy, boy, boy. There's 6 more that you can figure out. Girl, boy, girl, 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 boy, boy, girl, girl. There's 6 of them. Okay? There's 8 altogether. There's 4 of one and 8 of the other. So you figure them out. If you pull them up, that's what Google is for, especially some of these people on Facebook. Anybody know where I can find this? You know, that's what Google's for. God. Sample space of 3 kids. And images, it should show it. Somewhere on here it'll show the boy, 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 girl, boy. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know what's gotten into me. Female, male. Whatever. Okay? So there's 4. There's a sample space. Girl, boy, boy, girl, girl, boy, girl. That's 2 kids. Make sure you can do 2 kids and 3 kids. Because most of the time, if I give you a test question on a sample space, it'll be, you know, that type of question. You'll have to look, do a better search Oh, 2 kids, about 3 kids. There we go. There we go. Boy, boy, boy. Boy, boy, girl. Boy, girl, girl. Boy, girl, girl. They did that one twice. That's wrong. Girl, boy, boy. Girl, boy, girl. Girl, girl, boy. And then one on the bottom should be girl, girl, girl. There's 8. There should be 8. So make sure. Check that one. That should be girl, girl, boy. No. Those two should not be the same, but whatever. There's 8 of them. There's another one. Boy, boy, boy. Boy, boy, girl. Boy, girl, boy. Girl, boy, boy. Boy, girl, girl. Girl, boy. Yeah, there are 2 girl, boys. Except one's backwards. This one's this one, that one. Girl, girl, girl. Make sure you got those 2 somewhere on an index card, before you take the test. Okay? Okay? So that's the type question I'll give you on sample space. I'm not going to give you one of these. I do not like this question because it takes too much time on a test. But homework is fine. All right, let's do a nerd. This one is 2.2. This is number 41 in the book and number 12 online. So everybody, this is number 2.2. This is like your number 12. And this is, I don't know, I've never seen this question before, but we'll go ahead and do it. It says, violent crimes, blah, 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 blah. The data in the company represents violent crime. Use this to complete parts A through D. Round the data to the nearest tens.
This part is easy.
Okay, so that'd be 180. That'd be 210. Look like 210. That would be 210. That would be 220. That would be 250. That would be 260. That would be 260. That'd be 260. That'd be 260. But I don't see the point in doing that. But 270, 270, 270, 280, 280, 300, 310, 320, 320, 320, 3 what? 40, 340, 370, 400, and 4 what? 420. So we just rounded those to the nearest what? And I'm going to tell y'all, like I've told all of my 103s and all of my 120s. You know why people miss a question on 120 or 103, probability and statistics? It's not because of the math.
Didn't read it.
They got to read. And what does it say? It says round to the nearest what? 10. A lot of people, they just say round the data, and they don't read that part right here. And that's why they get it wrong. So we got to do every one of these. Crap. This is not a test question because I wouldn't put this on there. 175. Does the tab work?
Wouldn't that be 180?
That'd be 180.
I'm sorry. 180. Let me get to where I can do the tab key. That'd be 250, 270, 300, 340. No coughing in class. 180, 260, 270, 310, 340. Y'all check me because I'm going fast. 210, 260, 270, 320, 370, 210, 260, 260, right? 260, 280, 320, 400, 220, 260, 280, 320, 320, and 420. We feel good about ourselves. Now, I'm going, all right, it says draw a stem length plot treating the hundreds position as the stem and the tens position as the, all right, so how many 160, okay, how many 100s do we have?
2.
Well, we've got a 60. Are they in order?
Yeah.
They are. Okay, a 160 and an 80. So we're going to put a 60, comma, 80. This is what I'm thinking they're wanting. How many 200s are there? Well, there's a 210. Good gracious. 10, 10, 20, 50. Oh gosh, this is pain. 60, 60. It's okay for a homework question, but good gracious. 60, 70, 70, 70, 70, or I got the 370s. 80, 80. That's it. 300s. We got 0, 0, comma. They might not want that one. It might set the 3 for the 300, so we might just go with 10. I'll go ahead and put a 0, 0, but it might not like it. 10, comma, 20, 20, 40, 40, 20, 20, 40, 40, 70.
That should be
There's
3.
three.
Yeah.
Forty, 40, and 70. I was fixing to blame the Russians. But you're not supposed to blame yourself. Let's see, 400, 0, 0, comma, and 20. Now the only thing that it might not like those double zeros there, because sometimes on a stem leaf, it depends on who does it, that's 300 right there, so they may mark that wrong, I don't know. Yeah. So let me take those off. I should mess up the whole thing. Yeah. Or they want it? Do they want the zeros?
Probably, and that's probably because there's not a, did you put a space in between the commas?
I don't know.
When I did
Yeah.
this problem, yeah, it didn't want the zeros.
Yeah, well, I disagree with that because, well, what they're doing, and this is normal, this is not normal, because, okay, that's, what this does, they're supposed to put a 10 right here, and a 20, and a 30, and then you're supposed to put, so that would be what, 106, or 160, 180, they're supposed to do it like that. Oh, no, okay, I'm right, you're not supposed to add the zeros, that's fine. Now redraw the stem leaf using split stems. They must be talking about here. I'm afraid I don't understand what they want here. Unless they want the actual numbers. Like, no. Let me see what they're wanting. Because I don't know what the split stem is unless they're wanting you to break it down even further. Let me see what they're wanting. I can tell you what they're wanting. Oh, they're breaking the twos. They're breaking the twos below 5 and above 5 is what they're doing. They're breaking these up right here because there's so many. That's what they're doing. And then they're breaking the 3s up below 5 and above 5. I've never seen that before. So that's something new to me. I've never seen that. Now, which one shows the best? This one shows your normal curve because you can actually take your pencil and you can do what? You can draw that normal curve. I wouldn't use this one, but I'm probably wrong. Which of these plots better summarize the data? I think the first one, but what I know, I'm just a math teacher. So which one is the stem and leaf? I don't use the split. I wouldn't use it, but with split turns is better. The stem and leaf without the split turns is better because it takes up less space. Stem and leaf is better without split, because the class widths are large enough for a good summary. I would go with D because it's more educational sounding. And some of these questions are like that. I would not use the split if I was to take the difference between the two, because this can be misleading. You know what I'm saying? Where this one is the data. This one can be misleading because if you don't pick up on those two being split, you could think, oh, well, it's bigger right here versus bigger right there. So I would probably say without. Like I say, I'm just a math teacher. So that means, let's try C. No, it's B. See, I disagree with that. Because the class width is small enough for a good summary. Just remember that, because that's what they're going to be asking for. That is not a test question. I see why you sent that one, Mr. Gilliard. Not a good one. I will tell you good math questions, good test questions. That's not a good one. Question on that one. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, a lot of times they have questions on here. Just because it's a homework question, does that mean it's a good question? No. Okay, you got to remember who writes these questions. A lot of people that write these questions, they are not teachers. They work for the book company. Okay? And sometimes the author puts these in, sometimes the publisher puts them in. There's a lot of questions I disagree with. I got one in my calculus class that I just took off. I deleted it because it was not a good question. So there's some questions that are good and some questions that really suck. This one is about halfway. It's good until they do that split, until they do that, because I've never seen that before. Now, I may be just showing my ignorance, but I've never seen a split. It's basically, if you've got one more than 5, if you've got more with 5 numbers, you're supposed to split it to below 5 and above 5. See right here? See, this one right here, if I could work dadgum board, getting irritated. There we go. You see this, the 200s, there's how many of those? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 13 numbers. That's too many. That's what they're saying. So what they do is they say, okay, let's just break it up into below 5, the number 5, rounding below 5 and above 5 is what they're saying. So 100, 250, below 250 and above 250. So.
But there's still like 10 of them.
Well, it's not really helping. Okay? So there's your below 50 and above 50. You see what I'm saying? So you got 250, 260, 260, 260, 260, 270, blah, 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 blah. Here you got 210, 210, 220. Here you got how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they're saying, okay, let's go with above 50 and below 50. And that's what they did. They broke it up into below 50. There's 300, 310, 320, 320, 320, 340, 340, and above 50, which is 370. So if you ever see, which you're not going to see a lot of people use a stem and leaf. If you ever see a stem and leaf, which one is it going to be written like? It's going to be written like this one. I doubt very seriously, unless you're going into a research class or a dissertation class, you're never going to see this. Capiche? But that's what they're doing. Below 50, above 50, below 5, above 5. Thank you, Mr. Gilliard. Those two really sucked. But at least you're sending me questions. That's good. Okay? Question on that one. When we get good questions, when I get a good test question, I'll say, put a star beside this one, you're going to see this one again. Those two, work them on homework because I'm not going to put them on the test. All right, let's get to, did we finish chapter 2?
Yeah.
We did, so let's look at chapter 3. This is where 80% of your test is going to be coming from. So make sure you make notes on this section because, and most of you know how to do half of it because you know how to average your grades, okay? So most of you know how to do the math for half of this chapter, okay? So I'm going to go down to chapter contents, chapter 3. What sections do we go through in your outline? All of them? What do you say? 3-1 through what? 3-5? Okay, 3-1 through 3-5. All right, so let's pull up the handy dandy e-text and let's see what we've got. I'll tell you what's important. I think the first three, 3.1 and 3.2 and 3.3, is regular mean, median, mode, range, mid-range, all that good stuff. But y'all know how to do most of that. Okay? Now, this is a 25-cent word, measures of central tendency. That's a 25-cent title for everything revolves around the center. Write that down. And that's not S-I-N-N-E-R. That's C-E-N-T-E-R. Okay? Oh my God, I said sin, didn't I? I spelled it. Pass around the plate. All right. Everything in probability and statistics revolves around the center, the middle, the median. Everything is revolving around that. So when we take a look at averages, when we take a look at median, modes, they all revolve around the center. Now, the mean is called the mean. If I tell you it's mu, then you know it's the population because the mu is a Greek letter. This is on page 111 in the middle of the page. If I tell you x bar is not a Greek letter. So what does that make it? Not a population, but a what?
Sample.
Sample. Good. You're the one that listened that day. Sample, x bar. X is a regular alphabet, okay? So x bar means sample. Mu, which looks like a funky M, is population mean. Is the formula the same for both? Yes. You sum up all the numbers and you divide by how many numbers you got. Think about it. How many of you have figured up your test average? That is your mean. Okay? Settle down, Oconee. All right. So if you add up all your test grades and you divide by, let's say you got 5 test grades, you add up all of them, you divide by 5, that's your mean. Now everybody in here should be able to do that. Okay? And there's x bar, it's the same thing. I'm sorry, what? X bar and mu are the same. One's for the population. Now what does that mean? If you are in a meeting and somebody says, well, I'm going to throw up x bar and x bar is equal to 26 years old, where mu is 28 years old, then you say to yourself, 28 years old, that's a population mean. That's all Tri-County Tech students. The average age of all Tri-County Tech students. But at the Anderson campus, it's 26 years old. How do you know that? Because x bar is for the sample and mu is for the population. That's why you have to know it, so you won't show your ignorance in a meeting. Okay? The formula is what? The formula is the same. So if I gave you these numbers and you averaged them up, you'd add them all together and divide by 10. That would be your average. Now, I'm not going to insult your intelligence by telling you we're going to do 3 or 4 examples. I'm not going to do that because I know at least the last 5 to 7 years, you have learned how to figure your test average in all the classes that you've taken, and since the 7th grade probably. And I'm not going to go into that because y'all know how to do that. So we're going to skip that. But it's very important. When I say the word median, what's the first thing that pops into your brain when I say median?
Middle.
First thing that should pop in your brain is the highway. Why? Because what's the middle of the highway called? Median. And of course, that would associate with middle. Okay, just like you said. Median is what you find physically the middle, physical middle, not calculated, not numerical, the physical middle. That's where you find the two physical numbers, or the one physical number, depending on which one it is, and that is the physical middle. Do you calculate? No, you don't calculate anything, you just pick it out. Now, there's one rule that you have to remember. If n is even, you average the two middle numbers. If n is odd, you just what? You just find the middle number. And you'll see that when we do an example. Because we're going to do the examples all together. We're going to find the mean, median, mode. We're going to do it all together. So whenever you do one of these problems and you're given like 5 or 6 test scores, you don't just find the mean, you find all of it. Because if you practice all of it with each question you do, unless you got LA disorder, then you'll probably benefit from doing all of that math at one time. Right, Oconee?
Yeah.
Thank you, Oconee. There, that's what they're saying right there. If you have odd, then you pick it. If n is even, you find the average of the two middle terms. Don't worry, we're gonna do the technology. We're gonna do all that thing for those people that were on the calculator drill team in high school. The mode. What is the mode? Well, what's the two first letters? M-O. Most. M-O. Most. Mode. Most. Always remember that. This is the only one that's actually observed. Do you do any calculations with the mode? No. It's the one that's observed. Can you have more than one mode? Yes. You can have one mode is monomodal. 2 modes is bimodal. 3 modes is trimodal. More than 3 is polymodal. Does the mode really matter? No. I've never seen somebody go, oh gosh, we need to find the mode because it's really important. Okay? I'll get to what's important when we get to the end, when we start doing calculations. I'll go into what's important and what's not, because I'm going to do it on a spreadsheet. Follow along as I'm doing it. Okay? So the mode is what shows up the most. And that's 3.1. Don't worry. We're going to be doing these problems probably the next couple of days, so don't spaz. Now they're going to go the range and mid-range probably.
So you don't care if we know bimodal and multimodal?
Bimodal, you might have 1 or 2 questions that has that. But the only reason you need to know it is that if you have 5 numbers and you have 21, 28, 28, 30, and 30, then for the modes you write down 28, 30 because they both show up twice. Now what if 28 shows up 3 times and 30 shows up 2 times? You don't have 2 modes then, you only have 1 mode. That's 28 because it shows up the most. But if you have a series of numbers that show up the same amount and they the most, then you have to write every one of those numbers down. So in the case of 21, 28, 28, 30, and 30, you would write down for the mode, you would write down 28, 30, and you would classify that as a bimodal.
Okay.
I just want you to know mono, bi, tri, and poly, that would be like a standardized test question. You know, what is the mode? And you would write down the two modes, and then they'd put a second question and say, what is this? Blank, modal, and then you would put bimodal. That's the type question. I'm not going to ask you that unless it's in one of the questions that I don't know about, but a standardized test question would ask you that. Range is, this is 3.2, yes, range. Range, that's the easy one. What is the range?
You take the biggest value and
The highest minus the what? Lowest. So write that down. Highest minus the lowest. And then the mid-range is the same as the midpoint. You take the highest plus the lowest and divide by what? 2. I don't even see it. Let's see if I can find it. I don't even see the mid-range. Okay, the mid-range is the highest plus the lowest divided by 2. Now, the variance and the standard deviation. I'm just looking to see what they do because that's not what I do. There it is right there. Go ahead and make a note on page 128. I'm going to use that formula right there, and I'll write it on the board here in just a minute. But it's on page 128, and it's right here. You want to highlight. Well, if the computer will let me highlight it, but there we go. That right there is what we're going to use. Don't write down all the other stuff because all that does is confuse you. Does anybody remember back from high school what is the relationship between the variance and the standard deviation? Anybody remember that? It took probability. The standard deviation is the square root of the variance. Y'all see the radical right there? Everything under that radical where the highlight is, that's the variance. Variance is kind of like the mode. It's not worth anything. Okay? What is the most important number, Schubert? Anybody want to take a guess? There's about 4 of them. Okay? The median is one of them.
for the sample mean.
The mean is one of them. What else? The what?
Population of review.
Well, that's the mean. Good. She just said the mean. You did too.
Standard deviation.
Okay, so right now the 2 out of 4 that y'all have said is the mean and the median. The what? No, the mode is not that important.
What range?
The range, no, the mid-range. The mid-range is important. And the standard deviation. Got it? Now, some of you may be confused right now. Then I'm doing my job. Good. Hopefully you'll quit. No. What in a minute, I'm going to pull it up on the spreadsheet. We're going to do it on the spreadsheet. Now, let me talk about the spreadsheet. I have to throw out this disclaimer. Every semester, I get somebody that thinks they have to use the spreadsheet. And I say this about 10 times every semester, and people don't listen. And then they put on the evaluation. If I'd known I was going to have to learn how to use a spreadsheet. No, I'm not. People just don't listen. The reason I use the spreadsheet is so I can get all the information on the board. Okay? I write haphazardly. Okay? Some of y'all, especially the females, y'all write very nice and the same size, and it's very pretty handwriting. I do not have that. Okay? I write small here, and I write huge here, and it's not proportion, and I can't get everything on the board. Okay? So Excel is one of those things that I use so everybody can see everything on the board at one time. Does everybody understand that? I do not expect for you to use Excel. You can if you want to. That's great. If you know how to use Excel, great. If you don't, use the calculator or you do it by hand, however you want to do it. I'm going to show you how to do all three. Now, when I do the Excel spreadsheet, that's how you do it by hand. You just don't do the formulas. But you can use formulas, do it head, or you do it with calculator. Okay? Then I'll show you how to do the calculator. All right? I'm not going to sit here and show you how to use the Excel spreadsheet because somebody will say that I'm trying to get you all to master using the spreadsheet. I'm not. So I'm not going to tell you how to do the formulas because that way you won't be using that against me. All right. For the one person that, does that. There's always one. So I'm going to pull up, hold on a second, the handy dandy spreadsheet, and I'm just going to make up some numbers. And this is the way I show y'all how to do it. Now make it big enough to where y'all won't complain. So I'm going to take my handy dandy spreadsheet and I'm going to make a little bit bigger here and a little bit bigger there. And I'm going to make big letters like 14. And I'm going to call this X. And the numbers that are going to be given to you are going to be like test scores or IQ scores or ages or whatever. I'm going to use ages. So 18, you'll need to write these down. 18, 19, 20, 21, 25, and 30. I have no idea. Let's see how many of those are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9, n is odd. We're going to talk about n. We're going to talk about that and what that means. Insert. N is equal to 9. So 9 is what? Odd or even? Odd. So that means that we're going to find the middle number for our median. I'm going to pull this back. Okay, there's my numbers. Now, I want everybody to do what you can remember as far as mean, median, mode. I'll even write them over here for you. Mean, median, mode, range, mid-range, variance. I don't expect you to know the variance or the standard deviation. That's what I spend a lot of my time on. But do what you can out of the first 5. And if you can't do any of it, just write yourself up as what? A failure in life. Yeah. Which I can say that because most of you can at least do the mode and the range. Most of you can do that. I'm going to tell y'all a story this weekend. Oh, stories. One story is I was all hyped up. Saturday night, there's supposed to be a fight on Showtime. It was going to be Deontay Wilder against Brazil, whatever his name is. Anybody know what I'm talking about? So I was all hyped up. This is going to be a good fight. What happened? He got knocked out in the first round. You know what's scary? Is Joshua over there in England took 4 or 5 rounds to do the same thing to Brazil. I don't think Joshua wants any part of Deontay Wilder. That's why they can't get a fight. I would say, besides Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson, Deontay Wilder is pretty fierce. Okay, that's the first thing. No, I can't remember the second thing. Oh well. That's okay, Okomi. I'll remember it. Second thing, I got an email Saturday. And, no, yeah. And I've been sending, I got two online classes. And the policy for online classes at Tri-County Tech, if you don't do the online assignment the first week, you're counted absent. And if you're counted absent that first week, you get dropped. Everybody understand that?
Yep.
So I sent out an email Wednesday saying, okay, 2 classes. I said, there's, for the 110 class, I said, there's 20 out of 23 that has signed up on My Labs Plus. 3 people, you need to get on. 155, I did the same thing. Friday, that was Wednesday. Friday, I sent out another email. Okay, there's 2 more people that needs to sign up. We got 2 more people in this class and got 1 more person in this class. Get that attendance, the first attendance quiz, get it completed by midnight. Then I had an email, and the email from a student from one of the online classes says, I can't understand this question in 1.3. Well, I told that class to skip 1.1, 1.2. She wasn't following the emails or the handouts because I marked it out on the, y'all's outline. I marked it out. So she hadn't read the emails, and she hadn't even read the what? The emails or the handout. So she was doing her own thing. I don't know how she even pulled up the 1.3 homework because I deleted it. So I don't know what she was doing. So I wrote, so what would you do if you were a teacher and you were trying to do all this stuff and you had somebody, I kind of blew a gasket. So I wrote an email to the whole class. Okay, I said, it's time for me to write this email. I have to do it once a semester because usually there's one person in one class that doesn't follow directions. And I made, and I did and I did I said, and I didn't even call out the person. I said, a few students in this class are not following directions. They're not reading their emails, and they're not reading. After this email, I'm not going to be lenient, and if you don't do what I tell you, you're going to get a 0 for that assignment or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Oh, my God. I got a snowflake in one of my classes. That email was negative and disrespectful. I said, no, it wasn't. I replied. I said, it wasn't disrespectful. I didn't say anything disrespectful. And it wasn't towards you. It was toward, it says the whole class. I'm going to send this email to all of my online classes. Because if I'd have called out one person, what would happen to me then? Then I'd get in trouble. So I have to make it general. Okay?
Was it the same person?
No, it wasn't a person. It was some person that's done all their work. And I put in there, if you've done all your work, please disregard this email. I put that in there. And she said that it was very negative, very disrespectful, because she had done all her work. What? I just don't understand what's the teacher supposed to do. We're just supposed to give out flowers every day and give everybody daisies and daffodils, and everybody's supposed to be happy. Settle down, Oconee. All right, so what's the mean?
1.4.
Well, let's see. I'm going to add it up. I'm going to hit my handy dandy summation button. And I'm going to add those up. And I'm going to divide. I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to divide that number by that number. Is that what y'all get? Now, let's talk about rounding. Because when should you round? I tell all my students, whether you're in Math 103, Math 110, Math 111, Math 140, Math 130, whatever I'm teaching, you never, ever round until when? The end of the what? The problem, when they ask you to type in the answer. Okay? Always at the end of the problem. So you would not say, well, that's 21.4. I'm just going to say 21.4. No, negatory, negative. You do not. You at least keep your calculations to 3 or 4 decimal places, because most questions will ask you to write, will round to the 10th or the 100th. So you always at least have 3 or 4 decimal places in your calculations. I don't care if you're in the real world, you're in academia, or you're in underwater firefighting global studies, okay? You always keep at least 3 or 4 decimal places open so you can round to the 10th or the 100th. Capiche? All right, so we got an odd number. So the median, I'm going to highlight it white, yellow. And there he is. I didn't have to calculate it because it's what? It's odd. And when it's odd, you just find the middle. Now, in order to find the middle, you have to put them in what? Order. Remember that. That's your first rule of statistics. Put everything in order. So that's that number. Mode. 21. Good. Range. Highest minus the what? And the mid-range, equal to, parentheses, the 30 plus the 18 divided by 2. Now, like I said, a lot of you know how to do that. I'm going to highlight this guy. I want you to highlight him if you got crayons or pencils or whatever. That one. And that one. Why did I highlight those 3? Because I told you what are the 3 or 4 most important numbers. Well, those are the 3. Why are they important? Because they tell you how tight your data is. Tight? What the heck is he talking about? When you hear the word tight, what do you think of? Well, what's the opposite of tight? Loose. Okay? Now, I used to use the bearing and axle analogy. Somebody complained that it didn't have anything to do with mathematics. So I quit using it. But anyway, when you have a bearing, those of you, I'll show you what a bearing is because some of y'all don't know what a bearing is. And I like to go against the grain, so somebody tells me not to, guess what I do? I do it. So, bearing and axle. There's a good example of a bearing and axle right there. That's a good example. I like this one really, but this one's a diagram. Here we go. We'll just pull that one up. All right, you see this bearing right here? That's a bearing. Now, a bearing is what makes this axle, the axle is the rod, makes it turn and turn freely. Think of your car, okay? Your wheel. Your wheel has a bearing. You can't see it. It's in the output shaft of the differential, but it's in there. And your axle looks like that. All right? Does anybody know how tight that bearing fits on that axle? Anybody want to take a stab at it?
Real tight.
Very tight. Yes. I have to, when I replace bearings on the farm, sometimes I have to cut them off because they're done got hot, and I have to cut them off with a torch. Then I have to sand down the axle, and then I have to put grease on the bearing, and I have to take another piece of wood, and I have to not beat it, but just tap it on the bearing. Because the tolerance is very, what? Very low. That means that there's no movement with that bearing and that. Why? Because that it's got to be tight, because that bearing, if there's any looseness in there, it's called slop. It'll start beating the bearing to death, and eventually the bearing will tear up. Okay, and then the shaft will tear up, and then you have to buy a new shaft and all that. Now, what's that got to do with anything? You want the data to be tight. What tells you if the data is tight? Those three numbers. Watch this. This is a trick I learned in the war. 15 and 80. What happened to those three numbers? They out of wampus. What the hell is wampus? Y'all ever wash towels in a washing machine? And all the towels get on one side? Some people say, it's out of balance. Yeah, it's out of balance. It's out of wampus. Okay? What does the washer start doing? Womp, 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 womp. Okay? It's out of balance. Clem's on. It's out of wampus. All right? When you see the 26, that's 27, then this is what? 21, and this is 48. That tells you, as a statistician, I need to get some more data because I'm out of wampus. Versus, let's go back outside and let's survey some more people and get a 17 here, 26 here. What do those three numbers tell you? My data's tight. It's not out of wampus. You ever wash clothes and not even hear the washer? Okay, that's when everything's good. That's when everything's together. 21, 21, 22. That's good. So the three numbers, and I don't know if anybody's ever told you this, those are the three numbers you watch when you're calculating data. If those numbers are not together, then you might want to pull some more tires, or you might want to go and do some more surveys, or you might want to fill out some more questionnaires, or you might want to go interview some more people at another voting precinct, or something like that. You see what I'm saying? All right? So, where's the other number that's important? That number. The standard deviation. Now, the reason the standard deviation is important, standard deviation is a 25-cent word with a spread. Okay? If you have numbers that are tight together, that's good. If you have a spread that's small, that's what? Good. If your spread is very high, that means your data is probably screwed up, which means those other three numbers are probably screwed up. All right? So, how do you find the standard deviation? Well, that formula a while ago, variance is equal to the summation of x minus x bar, quantity squared, over n minus 1. And then the standard deviation is equal to the square root of the variance. And that's why sometimes you'll see just the radical over this, okay? Write that down because that is the relationship between the variance and the standard deviation. Standardized test question will ask you, the variance is equal to 64. What is the standard deviation? What? Yeah, don't mumble. You need to articulate. Hey, here's the other standardized test question. Standard deviation is equal to 5. What is the variance?
29.
Good job. Was that Oconee? Remember, they're going to beat you up if you go outside. Those three girls don't want you to talk. All right? Remember that relationship because you will see that on a standardized test. Whether it's an employment test at Michelin or a GRE at Clemson or a practical nursing test, you're going to see that. They'll say the standard deviation is 64 or is 5. What is the variance? Well, if they give you the standard deviation, you're going to square it to get 25. If they give you the variance, you're going to take the square root to get 8. Always remember that. So, I always tell students, don't memorize this, read it. Now, I just gave you x. Here's x. And I gave you n. N up here is equal to what? 9? So let's see, there's x right here, and there's n. So what do we need? X bar. Here's X bar right here. So what do I need to do with X and X bar first? I got to subtract my X bar from every one of my X's. Now, the calculator will do this, and I'll show you how, but we're going to do it by hand. So the next column beside X is going to be X minus X bar. So take your handy dandy second column right here in your notebook, and we're going to make a second column, and it's going to be called X minus X bar. And I want you to take your calculator and subtract 20.889 from every one of those numbers and write them in that column. I'm going to do it on an Excel spreadsheet so you can check your numbers.
Our numbers are.
So do you want us to go by ours? Because the mean we had was 21.4.
Remember?
Oh, I'm sorry. Tell me what that first number was. 18. And what was the last number? 30. Check to see if that's what you got. Is that what you got? 21.44? Okay. And I'm going to copy that down. Check your numbers.
You want us to keep it at 0.44?
Yeah, keep it. Go to four, at least 3 or 4 decimal points in all your calculations, whichever one you want to do. Calculator burning fingers, isn't it? Huh? Well, I'm gonna show you how to do it. I mean, this is how you do it by hand. I'm using the Excel spreadsheet to present, but this is how you do it. You draw columns, and this is the easiest way, because the way the book shows you and the way other books show you is very confusing. And this isn't a Hubertism. I was taught this method back at Clemson. Now, what does the formula say after you take X minus X bar? What are you supposed to do? Square it. Raise it to the what? Second power. So I'm going to call this, parentheses, X minus X bar raised to the what? Second power. So I'm going to raise each one of those numbers to the second power. Now you need to put little notes in your notebook of what you're doing in these columns so you won't forget when you go home. So equals that number raised to the second power. So use your calculator. The calculator will be X to the Y key, or the caret symbol. The caret symbol's on the right side, about the 4th row up. It looks like a rooftop. I can't stand to call it that, but that's what it's called. Right side, left side. So let's pull up the handy dandy calculator for those that are learning. I know some of y'all invented the calculator, but some of us didn't, okay? Some of y'all can twirl it around like a basketball on your fingers. That's not a good thing. So I'm going to raise 9 to the second power. Watch this. 9, and hit that's called a caret, K-A-R-E-T, I think. Caret. And then type 2. Enter. That's how you do it. So if you got 2.44, raise that 4, raise that to the second power. Get that. So go back to the handy dandy spreadsheet and take negative 3.444 and raise it to the second power, and you should get those numbers.
How did you do it on here?
On what?
On here, how did you?
Just take that number and raise it. Shift 6. The caret symbol is above the 6. Look on above you 6. And hit enter. And then copy down.
Then, this might be stupid, or you might have said it, but what's the standard deviation in, like, all of those are?
No, we're fixing them. That's what we're calculating. We're calculating the variance first, and then we're going to take the square root of it.
Okay.
Yeah, well, all this is working. I'm doing that formula up there in the top where it says VAR. I'm doing that formula. Now, somebody tell me, oh my God, there's a ghost in here. Oh my God. There's a Russian ghost. All right, what does this funky looking E mean? The funky looking one right there. It's right there too. God's got a word beside it. Auto sum. What does sum mean? Add them all what? Add them all up. So I'm going to take my handy dandy sum button and I'm going to add all these numbers up. Oh, I don't want to do that. Let me go down here. There we go. And add those numbers up and see what y'all get. So I'm going to let y'all catch up with your notes. I want you to make sure you get those 3 columns in your notes and see if you get 118. And we've just done the numerator. That 118.22 is the numerator for your variance. Now, did y'all get 118? Oconee, just jump on in here anytime.
How come when you're, for the third column, how come you take away the negative signs?
Because you square it. Anytime you square a number, it turns a negative into a positive. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive what? 9. That's the whole point. That's why you square it. That's a good question. The reason you square it is to make all the negatives what? Positive. Now I'll calculate this for y'all. N minus 1. That'd be 8. So you're going to divide that 118 by what? 8. I'm going to do that over here where it says variance. I'm going to do that, the calculation. You do it in your calculator. 118.222 divided by 8. See what you get. So here we go.
Where did you get the 8 from?
What does the formula say? And I'm not being smart. Don't take that the wrong way. Read the formula. What does the formula say for your denominator? N minus 1. What is N? 9. What's 9 minus 1? 8. And I get that question every semester. When I teach 103 or 120, they say, where did you get the 8 from? Read the formula.
Well, I'm just kind of lost.
That's fine. I know you're writing down. I don't mean it smart alecky. Most of the time I'm smart alecky, but that time I wasn't smart alecky. All right. I know you're writing fast and trying to keep up. So N minus 1 is 9 minus 1, which is 8, and that's equal to this number divided by 8. And what'd y'all get? Y'all are good. Don't let the Russians hack into it. 'Cause they'll make you do stuff you don't want to.
So do you want us to make the variance? It's 3 decimal places.
Yeah. And the standard deviation, 3 decimal, all of them, 3 decimal, 3 or 4 or 5 if you want to, because your homework or test question is going to say round to the 10th or round to the 100th. So now I'm going to take the standard deviation. Now, in calculus, you don't use the radical. And that's why I don't use the radical, because I teach calculus classes. So I'm going to raise it to the 1/2 power. Same thing as taking the square root. Your calculator will do either one. Here's your calculator. I'm going to take the square root of 25. So I take second, and y'all have to tell me which one's the square root, because I can't see. Because can y'all see? Is it above the log or above? It's above one of these. It's above the x squared? Okay. Can y'all see that? I can't. Y'all can see that? Y'all can see that radical in blue above the x squared? I can't. 25. And what is the square root of 25? All right, that's what y'all should get. Now I'm going to raise 25, caret symbol, 0.5. And I'm going to raise 25, caret symbol, parentheses, 1 divided by 2. Usually people don't do 1 divided by 2. They just do 0.5. But what will that give you? All 3 of those will give you what? The square root.
Which one's a caret?
Caret symbol is the one right there below clear.
Oh, the pi.
Pay attention. I done said it 3 times. I'm going to throw you out. No, it's below the clear button. Right there.
No, that.
No, pi is what's above it probably. The caret symbol is what the actual key is. Okay, you're distracting class now. Get with the program.
Okay, I'll do that.
All right, now take the square root of 14.788. So 14.778 raised to the 0.5 power. And then I'm going to go over here to check it, because I'm going to do it on the Excel spreadsheet. Wait a minute. There we go. And I'm going to take my Excel spreadsheet and raise it to the 0.5 power. Equals this number raised to the 0.5 power. 3.8442. Calculator says 3.8442, and we feel good about ourselves.
If I got a number that's different than that, but it's like really similar.
Yeah, that's fine. Sometimes the calculator, depends on how many significant digits you got your calculator set to. Most of them, if you keep it floating, the way you do that is hit mode, go down to float right there and make sure it says float. Hit enter on float. Some of you may have them raised to 3 or 4 digits. Just keep it on float and it'll just do it, however you want to. Now on your Excel spreadsheet, hold on, Excel spreadsheet, you click right here and you go to format cells and you go to number, and I'll raise it to 10 if you want to. We'll just change everything to 10 digits. You can set it however you want to, but I'm not going to do that because I can't show everything on there. I love the undo button. The undo button is the best thing in the world. Don't you wish you could do that with your tongue? Oh, the tongue is worse than a sword. That's why my granddad always said, if you keep your mouth shut, you won't show your ignorance. Well, same thing with, if you keep your mouth shut, you won't have to take back anything. So, I know, that's preachy. I shouldn't preach to y'all. Oh, I said preach, didn't I? Pass the plate. All right, now what does the standard deviation do? Now this is very, 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 very important because I'm going to show you from here on out, this is what we're going to be doing. Yes, sir?
I was going to ask a question.
It shows you the spread. Okay, what goes in the middle? The mean. So I'm going to put the mean in the middle. And then on the right side, what do you do on the right side of 0 on the number line? Do you add or subtract? You add. So I'm going to add standard deviation to the mean, and I'm going to lock it. You don't need to do that unless you're using Excel. And then I'm going to copy that 3 places over. What do you do on the left side of 0 on the number line? You subtract minus standard deviation. That. I want you to do this on your calculator. Go 3 places to the left, subtract, and 3 places to the right. There's a reason I want you to do it. We're going to kill a couple of 3 birds with 1 stone here. So I'll highlight. We'll highlight this dang old aqua. You don't think I know my colors? I know my colors. That's all. I used the wrong one. Hold on.
Wait, what is that? Like, what are you doing with those numbers?
I'm setting up the normal distribution. Okay, the mean is right here. We're going to use the mean. I can't color it another color. We're going to use the mean in the middle. And then on the right side, I add the standard deviation. On the left side, I what? Subtract. So 21.44 plus 3.8442 is 25. 25 plus 3.8442 is 25. Excuse me. 29.8442 is 32. And then I subtract. 21 minus 3.8442 is 17.6. 17.6 minus 3.8442 is 13.756. 13.756 minus 3.8442 is 9.9. I carry 3 places to the right and 3 places to the what? This sets up our normal curve. But you better get used to drawing it because you're going to be drawing it, except for the next unit. You're going to be drawing it 3 out of 4 units. I drew it a little bit out of wampus. I'm sorry, out of balance. Let me move it. I don't like that one. That looks better. Now, I actually tell people to go to Google and pull up normal distribution curve with percentages. And copy that, put it on a word processor sheet, put about 6 of them on there, and print out about 10 copies. So you don't have to draw this 15,000 times. So for the one person that's going to follow my advice, because it'll be just one person because everybody else is too lazy. Let me go and pull it up for you. Take your handy dandy Google and pull up normal distribution curve with percent. And there's all your pictures. Pick which one you want. Make sure you pick one like I got. This is a good one right here. The one that's colored. This is the empirical rule, which we're going to go over. That's a good one. Copy that. copy image, and bring it up. I'll do it. I'll even show you how to do it. I'm doing it for the one person that's going to do it. Pull up the word processor, insert, picture, and I guess it saved it under downloads. Well, it didn't save it. It saved it.
I thought you just copied it.
Yeah.
Oh, I just copied it. Okay. Okay, then I need to paste. There we go. And make it small. Make 2 columns, or you can make it big and put 3 on a page and print it out for the one person that's going to do it. I gotta get back to where I was. Hold on a second. Give me a second. Excel spreadsheet. There we go. All right, now I want you to look in your book. Look in there, somewhere in there. Look for the empirical rule. The empirical rule. Tell me what page it's on. I think it's like on page 136 or 138. I think the memory. Yeah, there it is. Somewhere there it is. 132. Make a note. 132. The empirical rule. Very, very important. On a scale from 1 to 10, it's an 11. You need to memorize it. You need to know it. The empirical rule states that under normal conditions, normal distribution, this is going to be 34%. This is going to be 34%. This is going to be 13.5. This is going to be 13.5. This is going to be 2.3. This is going to be 2.3. And this is going to be 0.2%. What?
Every time.
Every time. Those percentages. Now make sure you look. Does your book say 2.3 right there?
2.35.
Okay, your book says 2.35. Different book uses different things, okay? This is 2.35, so this will be 0.25 or 0.15. 0.15. Page what?
132.
132. So the question, and this is a test question, the question might ask, I'm going to ask you, how many people, or what's the percentage, or what's the area, or the probability that you are under or above 25 years old? Well, 13.5 plus 2.5 is 16%, isn't it? So you would say 16%. That's the type question you'll get, and that is a test question, and it is a standardized test. What I do, look at the bottom. Where's 25? Right there, 25.2. What's to the right of 25? 13.5, 2.35, and 1.5, which is 16. That's how you use the empirical rule. I would highly suggest that you start learning it as you are learning to add the standard deviation on the right. And now, is this one test question? No. This is about 6 test questions. We're in 3.3 right about now. Okay? I've just done 3 sections right here. The first 2 are mean, median, mode, range, or mean, median, mode. Second section is range and mid-range. And the third section, I think it's 3.3. Somebody look it up. I think it's variance and standard deviation. All right, now I'm going to open up. It's 2 o'clock. I'm going to open up for questions. I don't know, what time's class over? 2:30, isn't it? 2:35? Who's got questions on what we're doing so far? Because we're going to change it to another problem here in just a second. We're going to do even. Question. What if I said, how many people in the class are below 13 years old? Actually, 13.8. What? 2.5%, which is 2.35 plus What's $2.35 plus 15 cents? $2.50. All right, so it'd be 2.5%. If I said, what's the percentage of people between 17 years old and 25 years old? 34 and 34, which is 68%. I said between 17 and 25. You got to read the bottom. Now I'm just doing the first two numbers. I'm not doing the decimals. Actually, you're supposed to say between 17.6 years old and 25.29 years old. But what's wrong with that? Nobody's 0.29 years old. Okay? That's like poor old Andy Griffith telling Opie. I was reading the other day, there's like 2.5 kids. Well, that means 2.5. Half a boy. How do you have half a boy? It's Horatio. Poor old Horatio. Okay? Some of y'all don't have any idea what I'm talking about, but it's your parents' fault. It's not my fault. Okay? It's a good show. Andy Griffith show is a good show. Anyway, we don't have those shows anymore. We have crap shows now. I don't even watch them anymore. I stay on all the. I'll shut up. I'll just stay on
ITV?
I just stay on the horror movies. That's all I stay on. I want Jason versus Freddy. I mean, not Jason versus Freddy. Jason versus Michael. That's been I actually thought of Jason versus Freddy. I actually thought of that before that came out. I know, it was terrible. It was a terrible movie. They ought to have Jason versus Michael.
Who's Michael?
Michael Myers. Halloween. Yeah, kind of the same thing as Jason, but Jason is a little bit more evil. Yeah, Jason is a little bit more evil. I think Jason beat him. But Michael had his head cut off and he came back. So yeah, well, he's more silent evil. The music is worse in Halloween than it is. The music. Do you know that music is what made that movie? Because they showed the movie Halloween, the first movie, without the music, and nobody would take it. No people out in Hollywood would take it. They put the music in it, and everybody wanted it. Ain't that something, what music can do? Okay, I'll shut up. Settle down, Oconee. Nobody's got a question. I taught this material so well that nobody has a question. Yeah, you will when you get home. All right, let's change it up a little bit. Let's erase this. And let's go down. And let's go with X. And let's go with, I don't know, test scores. 75, 75, 80, 81, 82, 83, 85, 85, 90, 95, 99, 100. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good. All right, give me everything. I'm going to give you about 3 or 4 minutes. And if you can't do it, then we all know what that means.
Did you give us N?
Yeah, you count them. It's 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. N is equal to 12. And that's a good question because a lot of people, they don't realize that the number of test grades is N. And each one of them is X. Each one of them, X1 is 75. X sub 2 is 75. X sub 3 is 80. But N altogether is 12. I've been doing it. So that we don't swallow up. My speakers swallow up. And it's got more potassium. Just thought I'd tell you. Take it. You can try it. And don't forget, I want you to draw the curve also. I'll do the mean for you so you can check your work. So everything's based on a mean. Make sure you carry at least 4 or 5 digits. That's where you have to find the 2 middle ones and average them.
So do you like add them together and divide by 2?
That's right. I hate when people send you a friend request and all they're wanting to do is be nosy. And I don't add them, and they just keep sending friend requests.
Yeah, I know, it's like,
I don't like gossips.
we weren't friends before, why would we want to be friends now?
Yeah, exactly.
Especially somebody at work is like, what? I don't even like you like.
My sister gets mad at me because I won't add her. I said, you're a gossip. And I don't like gossips. She gets mad at me when I tell her that, but she is.
You know a Jimmy McCoy?
That was my daddy.
That's your dad?
He passed away in 2014, January. How'd you know him?
I work at the
County? You wouldn't work well?
I work at Richard Campbell.
Oh, no, he wasn't there.
His cousin is there now. And I was asking, because I saw that.
Who's it? Edward?
Yep.
Edward and Brenda.
Yep, that's who's there.
Yep. He's a mess.
Uh-huh.
And she's a mess too.
I heard, is that his wife?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I've just seen her, a couple times in the afternoon.
She's very quiet, but when she gets rolling, she's funny.
And I think her son comes with her.
Yeah, Shane. Yeah. Yeah, he's funny too. But yeah, they, is he okay or?
Yeah, he's good.
He had a bad wreck. He liked fast cars when he was younger.
Uh-huh.
He had a bad wreck, and that's why it messed his eye up. But yeah, JR was my daddy, yeah.
Okay.
Most people that know my dad either worked with him or he was a county engineer. For
Because I was trying to tell him like what you had shared with us here in class and
Yeah.
stuff. And he couldn't put it together, but he did come up with me. He's like, that's his
Yeah,
cousin or something.
Yeah.
Right? It's a cousin, right? He's his cousin.
yeah, he's my dad's first cousin. His father and my grandfather were brothers. Yeah, all the McClures and Anderson, all of them. You know where the double bridges are?
No, I don't.
Okay, well that's Deep Creek. Deep Creek is where Deep Creek runs into the Seneca River right there at Double Bridges. All of our people was there before the lake. You know, and that's where we all are from. All McClures and Anderson County are from
Is there
there.
a couple of roads named? Isn't there a street name? I think I've been by that.
There's one in town that she named all those after family members, and then there's one over in Double Springs. There's one where I live. There's several.
Like Driver Lane or
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
yeah. Last time I was asking, well, this morning.
Yeah, he didn't recognize my name. That means because I've talked to him. Last time I talked to him was several years ago, and he knew me. So
Yeah.
evidently,
Yeah, because he even says that he says that my mind's not as
Yeah. In fact, Shane, his son, took my class.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, when I'm working in the afternoon, as a matter of fact, I'll be working that unit.
yeah, Shane's hilarious. You gotta get him started though. He's real quiet, but once he gets started, oh, he's so funny. All right, what's our mode? 75 and 85. So you put 75, comma, 85. Range is equal to the highest minus the what? Lowest. Mid-range is equal to the highest plus the what? Plus the lowest divided by 2. And of course, the variance is next. And if you can't do the variance, what does that mean? That means you're a failure and you should quit school. No, that's where you have to read the what? Read the formula. What does the formula say? X minus what? X bar. X minus the mean. So I'm going to start my column. And I'll let y'all go ahead of me. So X minus X bar, F4 for those that are using Excel. That locks that so you don't copy it down wrong. And there's all my X minus X bars. So you walked in and said you saw McClure and you asked him if he knew me? Yeah.
Because I work like the night shift there, except he's usually up and stuff. Just help and Do you know so-and-so?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm like, well, you know, they live out by the lake and stuff. Kind of put it, like, I know Judy.
Yeah, that's my dad. Yeah, that when he says he can just remember one or two names, that means he's, God, how old is he now?
He's 80, he's 81, 82.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a little bit older than my dad. My dad would be, let's see, what is this, 2019? He would be 89.
I think he said he was born in 1937.
Yeah, he's older than my dad. My dad was born in 40.
He likes dumb dumb lollipops.
Oh, man.
Yeah, when I first saw him, he was sucking on a sucker.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, what are we going to do with each one of those? What does the formula say we're going to do with x minus x bar?
I got split.
Raise it to the what power? Second power. And what do we do with all of those numbers? Add them up. So you should have, as a numerator, 791.6667. Now, of course, on a test, if you don't, I'm going to give you smaller numbers. I'm not going to give you 5 or 6 or 7. I'm not going to give you as many as 12. But if you can do 9 and 12, you can pretty much handle anything having to do with standard deviation. And of course, I'm going to show you how to do it on a calculator and not have to do all the hand stuff. So the variance is equal to 791 blah 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 divided by, what is 12 minus 1? And now you take the square root of that, or raise that to the what? 1/2 power, 0.5, and there is your standard deviation. Now let's do our comparison. Our mean, our median, our mid-range, how are they looking? 86, 84, and 87, or 88. That's pretty good. Now draw your normal curve and your empirical rule. And if you can't do it, we all know what that means. Settle down, Oconee. Y'all need to quieten down.
I'm confused.
I'm Hubert. Nice to meet you. Where are you confused?
How did you get 791?
791. I add where? 791 is where you add the third column up.
Yeah, I did, and I got 591.
Okay, then you've got an error somewhere. Look over my numbers and look over your numbers. You've got an error somewhere.
I did, and they're all the same.
Okay, then you must have you did it on the calculator, you must have hit a number wrong. You need to run them through again. You must have hit a wrong number. That happens. I'm going to show you how to avoid that when I show you how to find all of it without punching all this in.
So when you're doing overseas, like to left to the right, the 3 for the normal curve, you take the mean, the 85, 83, and then what do you like add and subtract?
On the right, you add the standard deviation. On the left, you subtract.
Okay, I see.
So in the middle is the mean. Add those up again and let me know how you come out, Oconee.
Okay. I
You
got
find the
it.
error?
Yeah.
And like I said, on a test, I wouldn't give you 12 numbers. I'd give you more like 5 or 7. So you wouldn't have that potential error punching all those numbers in. Now we're going to fill out the normal curve. Using the empirical rule. $34, 13.5, 2.35, and 0.15, and 13.5, 2.35, and 0.15. Now you need to learn it because that's going to follow you throughout this semester. So if I ask you how many people made above an 85, you would say 50%. How many made below a 69? 2.5%. How many made above 103? 2.5%. Now, like I said, we've just done 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3. The homework in 3.1 is going to ask you for the mean and the range, or not the mean, median, and the median, okay? Or something like that. 3.2, they're going to ask for the range and the mid-range. And then 3.3, they're going to ask you for the, the variance and the what? Standard deviation. So we've just basically done all 3 of those sections with 2 problems. It's a whole lot easier to do it together and show you how everything fits. Now, let me show you one more thing before you all self-combust. All right? And that is your calculator. Take your handy-dandy calculator, and this is a trick I learned in the war. You can hit Stat and Edit. Write that down. Of course, this is recorded, so y'all can look at the, pause it and rewind it, okay, for the one person that watches the videos. Okay, and I'm going to punch in 2, enter, 4, enter, 6, I'm using the arrow down, you can do that too, 8, and 10. Everybody with me? Now I go to Stat, Calculate, First Variable Statistic. And it's already L1, that's the first column. And then you just hit Calculate. And look at there. X bar is equal to 6. And remember SX. I'm not going to tell you what to think of, but SX. Remember SX. SX is your standard deviation. 3.16. We'll go over that later. Tomorrow or whenever you'll come back. We'll go over more. You go down and you get the 5-number summary, and we're going to go over that Thursday. Okay? Okay?
SX is the standard deviation?
Yes. Should be easy to remember. All right. Oconee, there's only 4 of y'all, so I know y'all are up there. Y'all can go. I don't know who's here. I'm gonna take the Anderson roll for the bureaucrats. Keep them happy. I gotta call y'all's roll. Oconee, y'all can go ahead.
I have a question.
Okay, that's good. Let me get the roll first, and then I'll help you out. Let's see, 120.
Yeah.
Which one are y'all, Anderson? Okay, Benton is, yeah, JJ, you're here. Blackman is here. Fortner is here. Gilliard is here. King Owens is here. Pittman. One of y'all Pittman. Pittman, Rollins, and Smith. And all of Oconee, so I'll just mark all them. All right, y'all have a good day, and I will see y'all. If the creek don't rise, I'll see y'all when? Thursday. If the creek don't rise and you make it 9, I'll see you Thursday.
Lord is willing and the creek don't rise.
Listen, I'm